Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
This is my top 5 Fast and the Furious films from the Fast and Furious franchise, a franchise that I've recently revisited. Although I have not seen F9 yet, despite that being in theaters, I have not yet been able to get out to the theater to watch it. However, I did binge watch the entire franchise, including the spin-off films and even ones unintentionally part of the franchise, specifically Better Luck Tomorrow. So this is my top 5 Fast and the Furious franchise. For those that don't know the Fast and the Furious franchise, I'm sure you do. This is it's an amazing franchise in general. To where it came from when it started, car culture was huge at the time. I was working at the movie theater when this franchise started, when the first movie came out. And I remember the movie theater lobby, we had people, local kids who had cars that were all fixed up. Racing culture was big at the time. This was just out of high school for me. The first film came out in 2001. I graduated in 1999. So it was big, the car culture thing, and to have a film, an action film, kind of embrace that culture, that car culture, is awesome. And also having one of the first film franchises to have a racially diverse cast of people, which was also something that you don't see in most franchises. But then also the life of this franchise has gone through a lot of changes. The fact that it became a franchise, that there's a Fast and the Furious universe, is something that really was orchestrated in a large part, I would say, by Justin Lin, the director who took over most of the franchise, starting off with Tokyo Drift. But let's get into it. Let's get into my top 5, and I'll talk more about the different films as they come up. But starting off with my number 5 of the Fast and the Furious franchise is the original. It is The Fast and the Furious, the OG, the number 1 film in the franchise, comes in at my number 5. This is the origins of the story, the heart of the story with Dom and Brian. It is a lot like Point Break. Basically, instead of surfers, they're car guys. Instead of an FBI agent, Paul Walker's character is LAPD. But he's still going undercover to infiltrate these car guys who are suspected to be causing crimes. Basically hijacking or being pirates on the 10 freeway between Arizona and LA. The 10 big stretch of 10 freeway out in the desert. This group of car vigilantes, I guess they're not vigilantes, these car pirates, go and they steal DVD players or TV VHS combos. Or in some cases, in some versions of this movie, they're doing gasoline. But they're a group of criminals. And this is the story of how they all became. Obviously, the story goes in different areas, but I really enjoy this. And it's something that the franchise, for the most part, has stayed true to, is the camaraderie between these people, but also the love of the cars and the car talk and just that these people understand cars. Hopefully, I don't know cars enough to know if they are to recognize if they are saying accurate things. But that being said, this is the first film that really is the pioneer of automotive action superhero kind of movies. And it's pre-superhero stuff. This is like they're just doing basic crimes. And then also going out to competitions like Race Wars, which is a competition that they have, which is strangely titled. But I remember there being, for the car, I was never into cars, but there was a lot of kids in my grade that were and had, their modified cars, and they would go out to abandoned airports and do races. which, a lot of this movie was a lot of that. And so yeah, Fast and the Furious, because it's the original, because it is so much of the heart of this film with Dom and his family, that comes in at number 5. My number 4 film of my top 5 Fast and the Furious film franchise is Tokyo Drift, the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which is one of the what I would call spin-off movies of the franchise. This was the 3rd film in the franchise. This was a film, the first one directed by Justin Lin, who I feel is the heart and soul. Aside from Vin Diesel, I say Justin Lin is one of the biggest parts of this franchise, one of the biggest reasons why this franchise is around. This movie coming off of Too Fast, Too Furious, which was in itself a spin-off. I mean, that one followed Paul Walker's character on a different story out in Miami, where we're introduced to his friend Roman, who becomes part of the crew later on. But Tokyo Drift shows car culture in Tokyo, and the drifting culture, which all these movies throughout the franchise take time, in most of them, some of the newer ones not so much, but they take time to show the different car cultures around the world. Like, not only just the car culture in Southern California and what that was, and just California or American car culture in general, but then you go to Tokyo and you see completely different cars driving in completely different ways. One of the most beautiful aspects of Tokyo Drift are the chase scenes and the car action moments where you're seeing these cars like effortlessly drift around normal traffic. It really made the driving beautiful. And also was a good story. You're seeing Han. This is his kind of side story, which apparently this was the 3rd film to be released in the franchise. But in the narrative, in the timeline of the film, which when I rewatched the entire franchise, I watched it in the order, like not the order of they were released, but the order in which the story takes place. So in the story of the Fast saga, Tokyo Drift takes place after, I want to say after Fast 6, or Fast and the Furious 6. Maybe Fast 5. I can't remember. No, after Fast 6 is the where it takes place. So Fast and the Furious 6 takes place, and then after that, after Fast and the Furious 6, there's a scene Han's like, I got to go to Tokyo. He's been talking about going to Tokyo in a few of the franchises, and this was him in Tokyo. Now, he's a lot younger in Tokyo Drift because it was filmed a lot sooner, but I think in an effort to make the entire franchise make more sense, because at the time when Tokyo Drift came out, there was no thought of this. I mean, the fact that Vin Diesel is like an afterthought in this movie. Paul Walker, not even mentioned. Vin Diesel ends up in the end of Tokyo Drift, which really makes sense. The fact that it takes place after Fast and the Furious 6 makes a lot of sense. And then what happens with Fast Furious 7 adds a lot to that as well, especially for Han. But yeah, this Tokyo Drift, I would say, is one of the, I would call it a spin-off because it's focused on characters that aren't central to the story of Fast and the Furious. So I would say Tokyo Drift. I would say Too Fast, Too Furious in a lot of ways, even though it is Paul Walker's character and Tyrese his character on a thing. And then, of course, Hobbs and Shaw is like a spin-off film, I would say. And then if you really want to go deep into the Han story, I would highly recommend checking out the film Better Luck Tomorrow. It was one of the first films directed by Justin Lin. Han, the character Han, is in that movie, drives a vintage Mustang. Justin Lin said in interviews that in a way it is the origin story for Han. And in a lot of ways, it's the perfect origin story for Han. So I would, if you're into that Han storyline, I would highly recommend checking out Better Luck Tomorrow. It's a great movie in general. Not as much to do with driving, but it is criminal. It is like the beginning of his criminal activity, and his first crew, as it were. But Tokyo Drift coming in at my number 4 pick. I just love I love how different the driving is. I love how it added a layer to the story that they later had to come to grips with. But I really enjoyed that film, and I enjoy what Justin Lin has done with the franchise. But coming in at number 3, my number 3 pick of my top 5 Fast and Furious films is Fast and Furious 6. So this is the film that takes place in the timeline just before Tokyo Drift. This is the film where the franchise has really turned the notch as far as making it an over-the-top action film. They are getting closer and closer to the atmosphere of superhero-ness. But there is some amazing action scenes in this one. This in Fast and Furious 6, they go to UK. This is a thing where they are being employed by the government, being employed by The Rock's character, Hobbs, to help him because there is a criminal out in the UK called Shaw that's wreaking havoc, and they need the Fast and the Furious crew to help out. And some of the leverage that they use is Letty, who supposedly died a couple movies ago, is back, possibly back. They don't know, but that's the thing that they get to entice Dom and his crew, is that Letty might still be alive. And also with all of these, it's like, oh, we'll give you this job. If you complete this job for us, we'll wipe your records clean. It's like that is something that's used in almost every Fast and the Furious film, which is completely fine, which is something that makes it, gives them incentive to want to do these jobs, not just money, because they have money from their jobs. They know how to make money. But to get their records cleared is always something that extra entices them. But in this one, it's finding Letty. You're introduced to Shaw, who is a brother to another Shaw brother that becomes part of the franchise. This one has a crazy scene where Shaw steals a tank and is going down the freeway, running over innocent civilians in the tank, just destroying them. Letty has amnesia, so she doesn't know Dom, and Dom's trying to save her, and it's just got some insane action moments, which are a lot of fun. And the kind of the gang out in the UK is a lot of fun as well. Let me see what else happened in that episode. This is also the moment in the franchise where Corona becomes a big part. Like before that, Corona wasn't as big. I mean, they were drinking Corona in the first one during the house party. I think maybe there was one mention of Corona, but this is the one where like Corona becomes like a staple of the franchise. And then I think it's also I believe it is the origin of Dom talking about family. I mean, that being a real big theme of the franchise as well. But yeah, Fast and Furious 6 is a great... it's one of those newer ones where it has crazy action moments, but it's still like they're not full superheroes yet, right? Because eventually it gets there, and I'll have my opinions on that. But this one, it's still mildly, like you can still kind of see these things happening. Now, granted, there's the scene where Dom throws himself out of his car, like Letty gets thrown off the tank on this freeway, and Dom like drives his car off the thing and grabs her in midair and like lands on the windshield of a car, and somehow he's okay. I mean, clearly there's some things that are standard action movie realities that you have to like really set reality aside for a minute to go along with, but it's not quite at the level of full superhero. So coming in number 3, that is Fast and the Furious 6. My number 2 pick is Furious 7. This is the film that comes after Tokyo Drift. This is the film that you see how, I guess, in the post-credit sequence for Fast 6, you see that the Shaw brother killed Han in Tokyo because he's getting revenge for the Fast and the Furious crew, injuring his brother. Like his brother, there's a scene in a later film, which I don't know if it's Furious 7 or Fate of the Furious, where the Shaw brother they are joined together on a mission, kind of to get redemption. But Furious 7 is one that's really dealing with a lot. This movie is trying to reckon with the Han storyline. It's trying to fold in this new big character, Shaw, being played by Jason Statham. They still have The Rock, who has become part of the Fast and the Furious team on some levels. This is also Letty is still not fully, remembering her past. And this is also a film that's reckoning with the actor Paul Walker's death. And because of all of those things, highly emotional film. At the end of the film, I was in tears. It is the only Fast and the Furious film that really made me emotional at all. And it's clearly because of Paul Walker's death. And you can definitely tell that something happened if watching this film, because Paul Walker's character in this film is very much a side character, where Dom and Letty and also The Rock. I mean, I guess The Rock, is this the one where he's in the cast, or this is so The Rock is kind of got injured and he's in a hospital with a cast, so he's not really on the mission with these guys, but ends up towards the end helping out. And this one, it gets a little bit more, even more so, like more superhero-y. Like this one, they go to Abu Dhabi and they have a car that they're trying to get away from a billionaire, and the only way to get this car out is they end up driving this car, jumping it from building to building, which is just the action is just ramped up even more in Furious 7. And I think it's the last movie. I haven't seen the newest one, but in comparison to the Fate of the Furious, I think it's the last one before it goes full superhero. And Furious 7 is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, they're being hunted by Shaw, so it's kind of a different. Like, they're not on a mission necessarily to do a thing. I mean, they are on a missions to do stuff, but the missions aren't the focal thing. Like, they're not the focal threat. The focal threat is Shaw tracking them down, trying to get to them. Great movie. A lot of fun. It wrestles with a lot of things, a lot of stuff. Crazy parachuting cars is crazy. There's just a lot of crazy stunts that this movie has, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun, and the way they were able to wrap it up and get emotional, all that is number 7. It's a really great action film with a lot of heart. So that's my number 2, Fury 7. My number 1 Fast and the Furious film, which is probably a popular number 1 for a lot of people. That movie is Fast 5. My number 1 Fast and the Furious film. This is a film where the movie starts to change gears. This is where Justin Lin, in Fast 4, Fast and Furious is a movie that comes out that's released after Tokyo Drift. And this is a film where Justin Lin is given the reins of the franchise and is trying to get everything back to where it was. And in that one, I didn't like it as much. Very dark. There's a lot of dark scenes. Letty supposedly dies, and Dom and Brian are trying to, separately for different reasons, trying to track down the same guy. But that one sets up everything back together. Doesn't make my list, mainly because the action was so hard to watch. It's so dark. But because of that, Fast 5 sets up perfectly. Fast 5 is they're in Brazil. So it's showing not necessarily Brazilian car culture. In was it Fast 7 were they in? Or is that Fate of the Furious? Fate of the Furious, they start in Cuba to show Cuban car culture. But I guess Furious 7 really shows car culture for the wealthy. But Fast 5 is the introduction to The Rock. The Rock is a super cop who is out to get the Fast and the Furious crew. They know that they're still out there. They fled to... There's apparently a short film that sets up Fast 5 and sets up Dom getting his crew together to do this big job. But it is Fast 5 is Dom bringing all of the characters from all of the other movies together. You get Han, you get Roman, you got Brian, you got everybody. And then it's the introduction to this new threat of this super cop in The Rock, a.k.a. Hobbs. And it's them trying to get away from this elite task force that's trying to bring them down in Brazil. It's got the amazing dragging of the safe car chase, which is amazing. Just a great film. It's a film where, aside from when Shaw is trying to track down the crew, because Shaw is a singular person, but to have like the elite task force that The Rock is in charge of, trying to show up and being formidable opponents to them. Is great. It's great. It really takes to put it in a car pun term, it really changes the gears. It really upshifts to a new level of action movie. And I love it. I really enjoy the movie so much. It adds so much stuff. It's still way before things get superhero-y, but still grounded in a lot of ways. Although being able to tow a safe behind cars is pretty ridiculous, but still really amazing action sequences. I mean, this was the first moment where you really saw this franchise busting out amazing action sequences that are still focused around cars. But yeah, Fast 5, my top of the Fast and the Furious films. Let me go through my list one more time, and I'll talk about the movies that didn't make the list. So number 5 is The Fast and the Furious. Number 4 is Tokyo Drift. Number 3 is Fast and Furious 6. Number 2 is Furious 7. And number 1 is Fast 5. Now, Too Fast, Too Furious, a movie that I hated when it came out. Rewatching it, I really loved Too Fast, Too Furious. It was on my list for quite a while, but didn't make it. Fast and Furious, the fourth in the franchise. Like I said, the action moments way too dark. It was like there's moments where they're driving through like hidden tunnels under mountains that just look bad CGI in the dark. Just really not that great. But Fast 5, they really did like a 180, complete 180. It was amazing. It was fun. It added more to it. But anyway, so Fast and Furious didn't make it, even though it was kind of like the reboot of the franchise. Fate of the Furious, I did not like. That is the one where Dom, for some reason, is convinced to become the bad guy to join the bad people, the Cypher, who's this super hacker or whatever. Just too much superhero. way too much superhero. The fact that like the fact that he betrays his family in order to save his wife and daughter isn't necessarily believable. And but it does allow for Shaw. There's a moment where the Shaw brothers go to kidnap his baby back. That kind of, in some ways, redeems the fact that, at least from one of the Shaw brothers, the Jason Statham Shaw brother, like it kind of redeems him in some way. I mean, yeah, he killed Han, but also it's like it's that character is bound by a franchise that needed to come up with creative ways to make sense of things. And because of that, they have to answer for those things that they had to creatively come up with. And I thought it did okay. I just didn't believe Dom becoming bad and not telling anybody. And then also like the big action scenes that are on the ice with the submarine. It just like it's a movie that became more of a superhero movie and less of an action movie involving cars. But yeah, that's why that one didn't make my list, and that's why I didn't end up going to see F9, just because I don't know if the franchise, if it's getting better or not. F9 is directed by Justin Lin, so it has more potential to be good. So who knows when it becomes available on VOD, then I'll check it out. But what's coming up, I'm excited about. There's the 10th film. Is going to be a 2-parter, and they have spin-off films that are coming out. There's going to be a female version, apparently, of the Fast and Furious, which I'm totally for. Gal Gadot was an awesome addition to the franchise for a minute. Of course, Letty is awesome in this film as a female driver. They have the newly acquired hacker as part of their team, so she could be, potentially a driver at some point. But I'd love to see that, a female Fast and the Furious. But then there's going to be a Hobbs and Shaw sequel that look like I'd be fun. Like the Hobbs and Shaw film, I liked a lot more watching it again after having watched all of the franchise leading up to it. But still, it's not Fast and the Furious. That's more of an action film where they're able to show. I mean, it does end with like cars doing crazy things, but it's not really centered around the cars like most of the franchise is. But yeah, that's my top 5 Fast and the Furious films. One more time. Number 5, The Fast and the Furious, the original. My number 4 pick is Tokyo Drift. My number 3 pick is Fast and Furious 6. My number 2 pick is Furious 7. And my number 1 Fast and the Furious film is Fast 5. Let me know what your Fast and Furious films, your favorite Fast and the Furious films are in the frickin' comments under the face of my page. I don't know. A lot of F words. Yeah. Let me know what your top 5 Fast and the Furious films are. Let me know if you saw Fast 9, if you like it, if I made a horrible mistake. Maybe after the part 2 of the 10th film comes out, I'll revisit the franchise and do a revised top 5 list. But for now, this is my top 5. Let me know what your top 5 are in the comments, or hit me up on social media at Ray Taylor. Bam! Fast and the Furious. It's all about family. Get yourself some amazing coffee over at stationhousecoffee.com and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. That's your place for small batch, single origin, premium coffee brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont, shipped directly to you. Go now to stationhousecoffee.com and order yourself some amazing coffee. And don't forget to follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!